Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we had, well, I say we, I say me. I watched a Major League Wrestling event. It was what happened, I guess the best way of saying it is the Reloaded event. It happened on the 25th or 26th. I had watched it off of YouTube, and it was my first ever Major League Wrestling event. I know they have Matt Riddle in it and a few different people that go in and out, so I was like, hey, let me take a shot and let me look. Let's see what this is. Also, Mystico's in it, who was Sin Cara in WWE. He was on this card, and let's go into it. So the very first match was Neon versus Virus. Never heard of either person. I'm gonna be honest. In most of these matches, I've only ever heard of some of the names, but never even seen matches with these people. But this match actually was a really good starting match. They were, had a good pace. They were kind of bouncing all over the place. It was like 7, almost 8 minutes of match as like an opener. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm gonna put it in B. I thought it was a solid match, perfectly there. Then we had Okamaro versus Dark Panther. Definitely different pacing in this match. I feel like they what they did was they had a little bit of like Japanese wrestling, a little bit of like Spanish, Mexican, luchador, and like they put a lot of those matches like kind of together, and this one just wasn't quite there for me. I'm gonna put it in C. I think they would have definitely, it was only like a 6 minute match. I think it definitely would have been a much better match if you would have made it a lot longer. Then we had Bobby Fish against Ariel Jimenez. um this was 2 minutes. It was a squash match. I personally just was what I just was kind of like, what did I just watch? And yeah, D. I don't know, maybe there's a storyline or something, but again, wasn't anything. And then we had a Texas Tornado tag match, which was the Andersons versus Paul London and Paul Hoosier. He's a comedian. I think for like, hey, he's a comedian and started. I didn't think it was bad, like a bad fame for him. I don't know if how much he's wrestled. I think the match itself was just okay. A little, all the other people were just a little too old to be bouncing around out there. They didn't. They did some stuff, but the 7 minutes struggled to get through in the 7 minutes. This is this card for whatever reason. I'll put it in C. Wasn't really my thing. Next up, we had the women's match, which was Persephone versus what is it? Uh, God, I don't remember exactly what her name was, but to be honest, it was the only women's match on the card. It was 5 minutes, and it was a forgettable 5 minutes. I'm gonna have to put it in D. It was just not that, just not it for me. I don't know what they were doing. 5 minutes seemed to be a long match, honestly, and it just kind of abruptly ended. And the finish was god awful. It was like a jump off the top rope into like a splash, and she missed it. And then they finished it off of that. I think they should have called an audible and done something else after that. Let's switch these over. Then we had Suzuki versus Tom Lawler. I knew Suzuki, he was a big Japanese pro wrestler. I mean, I guess he still is. But this just felt wrong for 5 minutes. I don't really know the point of it. I think there must have been some type of storyline with it. This is my first ever event, so I was just watching the matches to watch the matches, and honestly, I didn't care for this one either. I'm gonna go put it in D. And then the last but certainly not least, it was Mystico versus Carvano. It was a best of three falls match, which I thought was pretty solid. The first fall was just really sudden and kind of out of the blue, and then right after that, the like Mystico kind of had it in the bag, at least when he got the set, he got the tie up, and the very last part was this beautiful sequence into like an arm bar. I thought that was the best part of the match. I'd put it in A, but it was a struggle to really put it much higher. I think it was a solid match and it was a solid main event, but the rest of the card really, really struggled. I'd probably put this whole event as a C. I'd probably definitely check out Major League Wrestling again. I don't really know exactly how it runs. This could have been just like a B-list show or a B-list fan. I have absolutely no clue. Maybe if you guys know, you can tell me. And maybe I just caught it on a bad night, but I did not enjoy what I watched. But until next time, this has been Japan. Bye, guys.